For decades, Australians believed cent coins were finished, forgotten, worthless, nothing more than old copper memories sitting in dusty jars and drawers. But behind those tiny brown coins lies a shocking truth that most people still don't know. Hidden among millions of ordinary cents are a handful of modern Australian cent coins so ultra-rare that collectors around the world actively hunt for them. Coins created by last-minute mint changes, silent minting errors, and production decisions never meant to be noticed by the public. Today, we're revealing the top 3 ultra-rare modern Australian cent coins. Coins that were never supposed to survive, coins that vanished before most people even knew they existed. One of these cents is so scarce that even seasoned numismatists argue about how many are still left today, and another has sold for eye-watering amounts simply because it escaped destruction. There's a very real chance that one of these coins has passed through your hands, been spent without a second glance, or is sitting in your home right now, completely unnoticed. Stay with me until the final reveal, because the last coin on this list isn't just rare, it's one of the greatest modern Australian coin mysteries ever created. The history of the Australia 20-cent coin 2010 is part of the long and interesting story of Australian decimal currency. The 20-cent coin was first introduced in 1966 when Australia switched from the pound system to the decimal system. The 2010 issue continues this legacy as part of the Australian circulating coin series issued by the Royal Australian Mint. The standard 2010 20-cent coin features the iconic platypus design created by Stuart Devlin, who designed the original decimal coinage of Australia. The obverse side features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Ian Rank Broadley, which had been used since 1999, replacing the earlier Raphael Makhlouf portrait. The 2010 20-cent coin is made of cupronickel, an alloy of copper and nickel, which gives the coin its silver appearance. It weighs 11.30 grams and measures 28.52 millimeters in diameter, which has been consistent since the introduction of the denomination. The coin has a milled edge and remains one of the most commonly used coins in Australian circulation. The 2010 20-cent coin was produced in large numbers for circulation, but there were also collector versions, struck in higher quality, such as proof and uncirculated editions available through the Royal Australian Mint. These collector versions often came in special sets that marked important national events or anniversaries. The year 2010 did not see a major design change for the 20-cent coin. But it was an important year for coin collectors because it was within the period when the Mint began to focus more heavily on commemorative issues across other denominations. While the standard platypus design continued, the Mint also released a number of special coins for collectors celebrating Australia's cultural heritage and natural environment. The 20-cent coin represents one of the most recognized symbols of Australia's wildlife and economy, its design featuring the platypus reminds Australians of the country's unique fauna and the importance of native species conservation. The coin continues to be an everyday reminder of national identity and pride. By 2010, the Australian 20-cent coin had already been in use for 44 years and had gone through several portrait updates of Queen Elizabeth II, reflecting her reign and Australia's evolving history. The coin's consistency in size and composition also symbolizes stability in Australia's monetary system. Over the decades, the coin has become an essential part of Australian currency, used in millions of daily transactions, while also holding value for collectors around the world. The 2010 20-cent coin therefore stands as both a functional currency piece and a continuation of Australia's numismatic heritage. The history of the Australia 20-cent coin 2010 connects deeply to the nation's transformation from pre-decimal to modern currency and to the broader story of Australian identity. The 20-cent denomination was first struck in 1966 at the time when Australia introduced decimal currency to replace the pounds, shillings, and pence system. The decision to decimalize the currency had been made years earlier to simplify transactions and align Australia more closely with other trading nations using the decimal system. The 20-cent coin replaced the florin, which had a similar value and size, and this made the transition easier for the public. The platypus design by Stuart Devlin, chosen for the reverse of the coin, was significant because the platypus is one of Australia's most unique native animals. It symbolized the country's natural beauty and distinctiveness. Devlin, who later became known as the goldsmith to the Queen, created designs for all Australian decimal coins, and his work remains a cornerstone of Australian coinage art. The choice of the platypus for the 20-cent coin also represented Australia's connection to its waterways and wildlife. By 2010, the 20-cent coin had seen several portrait changes of Queen Elizabeth II. On the obverse, the first design in 1966 was by Arnold Machen, followed by Raphael Maklouf's in 1985, and later by Ian Rank Broadley's design in 1999, which remained on the 2010 issue. Each new portrait reflected the passage of time during the Queen's reign and the evolving artistry of coin engraving. The inclusion of the monarch's portrait symbolized Australia's constitutional monarchy and its historical ties to the British Commonwealth. During the late 20th and early 21st centuries, Australia's Royal Mint began to experiment with limited editions and commemorative issues to celebrate national events. For example, while the standard 20-cent coin design remained unchanged, the denomination was occasionally used for special releases, marking occasions such as the 50th anniversary of the Australian decimal currency, the Olympic Games, and other national milestones. These releases enhanced public interest in coin collecting and raised awareness of Australia's history and culture. The 2010 issue of the 20-cent coin was produced primarily for circulation, but it was also part of sets aimed at collectors. The Royal Australian Mint that year focused on themes of innovation and national pride, issuing proof and uncirculated coin sets that included the 20-cent coin as a central element. The production of these coins was marked by precision and quality control, ensuring that each coin met exacting standards. The minting process involved striking blanks of cupronickel under high pressure to produce sharp details of the platypus design. Economically, the 20-cent coin played a crucial role in the Australian monetary system through the 2000s. It was used widely for vending machines, parking meters, and everyday transactions, making it one of the most circulated denominations in the country. Its durability and resistance to corrosion made it ideal for continuous use, and the coin's weight and metallic composition remained unchanged for decades, maintaining its recognizability among Australians. In 2010, Australia's coinage continued to evolve in technology and production. The Royal Australian Mint had introduced advanced laser and digital techniques for die preparation, allowing greater consistency and sharper details on coins. These innovations ensured that even common circulating coins like the 20-cent piece reflected the country's technological progress. The Mint also used 2010 as a period to promote public interest in numismatics, encouraging Australians to appreciate the heritage embedded in their currency. Culturally, the 20-cent coin holds a nostalgic place in Australian society. Generations of Australians have used it for daily purchases. Children have saved them in coin jars, and collectors have searched for rare variations or minting errors. Over time, some issues of the 20-cent coin became sought after, such as the 1966 London minted coin or the 1981 Canadian minted variety, due to their distinctive features. By 2010, the coin had built a rich legacy spanning over 4 decades, symbolizing economic continuity and cultural heritage. The Australia 20-cent coin 2010, therefore, is not just a piece of metal, but a small chapter in the story of the nation. It represents Australia's journey from colonial heritage to modern independence, from its wildlife and environment to its technology and economy. It is a coin that carries history in its design, value in its circulation, and pride in its symbolism. The 2010 version continues the tradition that began in 1966, maintaining the same design and specifications that Australians have trusted and recognized for generations. The history of the Australian 20-cent coin from 1980 is a fascinating journey that connects numismatic design innovation, national symbolism, and the broader story of Australia's economy and identity since decimalisation. The 20-cent coin was first introduced in 1966 when Australia switched from the pre-decimal pound system to the decimal dollar system, replacing the old florin coin. Its creation marked a turning point in the nation's monetary history, reflecting a modernization of the currency system and a new artistic direction in coinage. The design of the 20-cent coin was entrusted to Stuart Devlin, who later became known as the goldsmith and jeweler to the Queen. Devlin's work for Australia's new decimal coins was widely praised for its creativity and symbolism. The reverse of the 20-cent coin features the platypus, a unique and iconic Australian animal that embodies the diversity of the nation's wildlife. The image of the platypus gliding gracefully through rippling waterlines became one of the most recognizable coin designs in the world. The obverse side bears the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, reflecting Australia's constitutional monarchy and its historical ties to the British Crown. The 1980 edition of the Australian 20-cent coin was struck during an era of growing national confidence and economic development in Australia. The coin was produced at both the Royal Australian Mint in Canberra and the Royal Mint's branch in London to meet production demands. The total mintage exceeded 65 million pieces, making it one of the most common coins in circulation at the time. However, what makes the 1980 20-cent coin interesting to collectors today is not its rarity, but its variety and the subtle differences between mint marks. There are coins from Canberra with no mint mark and coins struck in London bearing a small dot near the platypus's head. These varieties can attract collectors, especially when found in uncirculated or proof condition. The composition of the 1980 20-cent coin remained consistent with earlier issues. It was made from copper-nickel, an alloy of 75% copper and 25% nickel. The coin has a diameter of 28.65 millimeters and weighs 11.3 grams, giving it a distinctive feel and sound when handled. The edge is milled, adding both texture and protection against wear. Throughout the late 1970s and early 1980s, the 20-cent coin was an essential part of everyday Australian life, used widely for public transport, vending machines, newspapers, and small purchases. Its durability and elegant design made it a mainstay in Australian wallets for decades. As time went on, the coin's platypus design became a cultural icon, appearing in educational materials and even commemorative issues highlighting Australia's native fauna. In 1980, the economic landscape of Australia was shifting. The country was diversifying its industries, moving away from heavy reliance on agriculture and mining and towards a more modern industrial and service-based economy. Inflation and price adjustments meant that the 20-cent coin had increasing importance in small transactions and daily commerce. The coin's continued production also reflected Australia's commitment to maintaining a high-quality national coinage system that balanced functionality with artistry. In terms of collector interest, the 1980 20-cent coin is not considered rare, but it holds value as a piece of history representing the evolution of Australian decimal currency. Coins in mint state condition or proof sets can command higher prices among collectors, especially those with clear striking and lustrous surfaces. Some proof versions were included in official mint sets, produced for numismatists, which remain popular today. In summary, the history of the Australian 20-cent coin of 1980 tells a broader story about Australia's modern identity, economic progress, and artistic expression through coinage. It stands as a continuation of Stuart Devlin's remarkable vision of uniting beauty and practicality in everyday currency. The platypus design remains timeless and beloved, symbolizing the nation's respect for its wildlife and its pride in its unique heritage. Even today, decades later, The 1980 20-cent coin continues to circulate as a reminder of an era of transformation, creativity, and national pride in Australian history. The story of the Australian 20-cent coin of 1980 goes far deeper than its design and composition. It connects to the broader evolution of Australia's monetary system, the growth of its minting technology, and the country's changing place in the global economy. Since the introduction of decimal currency in 1966, Australia's coins have been symbols of national identity, technological progress, and economic adaptation. The 1980 issue came at a time when Australia was stabilizing after the inflationary pressures of the 1970s and preparing for the economic reforms of the 1980s that would reshape the nation's financial landscape. To understand the importance of the 1980 20-cent coin, it helps to recall the journey from the pre-decimal system to the decimal era. Before 1966, Australians used pounds, shillings, and pence, which were based on the British monetary model. 1 pound equaled 20 shillings, and each shilling was 12 pence. When decimalization arrived, the new dollar was set to equal 10 shillings or half a pound. This change made calculations easier and aligned Australia's currency system with international standards. The 20-cent coin directly replaced the florin, which had a similar size and value. The transition was smooth and the new coinage was widely accepted by the public. The 20-cent coin became one of the most used denominations in Australia because of its practical value and sturdy design. The 1980 version continued the high standards established by the Royal Australian Mint in Canberra, which had been producing coins since its official opening in 1965. The Mint's goal was to create coins that were both beautiful and durable, able to withstand decades of circulation without significant wear. The 20-cent coin was made of cupra nickel, an alloy chosen for its resistance to corrosion and tarnish, a crucial factor in Australia's diverse climate, ranging from coastal humidity to dry inland heat. In 1980, Australia was in a period of transition. The government led by Prime Minister Malcolm Fraser was managing an economy facing rising unemployment and global challenges caused by fluctuations in oil prices and trade balances. Despite these issues, Australia's currency remained stable, and the 20-cent coin was one of the symbols of that everyday stability. Its presence in shops, buses, and homes represented reliability and national pride. The artistry of the coin also played a major role in its cultural impact. Stuart Devlin, the designer, was renowned for his ability to merge realism with motion. His depiction of the platypus on the 20-cent coin was inspired by hours of studying the creature's movements underwater. He wanted the ripples to create a sense of life and energy, a reflection of the Australian spirit. The design was not only aesthetic but educational. It introduced generations of Australians to one of their most distinctive native animals. The choice of the platypus was significant because it is one of the few mammals that lay eggs, and it exists only in Australia, representing uniqueness and adaptability, two traits often associated with the Australian identity. On the obverse side, the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II was updated in 1979 to the second definitive effigy designed by Arnold Machine. This is the portrait seen on the 1980 coin. It shows a more mature depiction of the Queen wearing the royal tiara, a symbol of continuity and Commonwealth unity. This image was used until 1984, when it was replaced by the Raphael Makhlouf portrait. The presence of the Queen's image reaffirmed Australia's ties to the monarchy, while the reverse design highlighted its independent character. Production of the 1980 20-cent coin occurred in both Australia and the United Kingdom to meet the nation's currency needs. The London minted coins can be identified by a tiny dot near the platypus's head, while those made in Canberra lack this mark. These details fascinate collectors because they reflect the logistics of coin production and international cooperation between mints. During this period, Australia occasionally relied on overseas facilities to supplement its domestic minting capacity, particularly during times of high demand or when new denominations were being introduced. Another important historical context for the 1980 20-cent coin is its role in public memory. Many Australians from that era remember the coin as part of daily life. It was used in payphones, newspapers, postage, and even the classic milk bars and corner shops that defined Australian neighborhoods of the time. Because of its size and weight, it was easily recognizable and had a satisfying solidity that modern lightweight coins lack. As the years went on and technology advanced, the 20-cent coin remained largely unchanged, a testament to the enduring strength of Devlin's original design. From a numismatic perspective, the 1980 20-cent coin is part of the ongoing story of Australian decimal coinage. Collectors today look for variations, such as proof issues minted in limited numbers for coin sets. These proof coins have mirror-like surfaces and sharp details, and they were not meant for circulation. They are treasured pieces of Australia's minting craftsmanship. The history of the Australia 10-cent coin, 1994, begins with the introduction of decimal currency in Australia on February 14, 1966, when the country shifted from pounds, shillings, and pence to dollars and cents. The 10-cent coin was part of the new decimal series and replaced the pre-decimal shilling in both size and value. The coin features the image of a male lyrebird, one of Australia's most unique native birds, known for its remarkable ability to mimic sounds. This design was created by Stuart Devlin, the renowned Australian goldsmith and coin designer who also designed many other Australian coins. The reverse design featuring the lyrebird has remained unchanged since its introduction in 1966, symbolizing continuity and the natural beauty of Australian wildlife. The obverse side of the 1994 10-cent coin bears the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. This particular year featured the Raphael Makhlouf effigy, which was used on Australian coins from 1985 to 1998. The portrait depicts the Queen wearing the royal diadem worn for the state opening of Parliament. This effigy replaced the earlier Arnold machine portrait and was itself replaced later in 1999 by the Ian Rank Broadley design. The 1994 10-cent coin therefore represents the late Makhlouf era in Australian coinage. The coin is composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving it a silvery appearance. It weighs 5.65 grams and measures 23.6 millimeters in diameter. The 1994 issue was minted at the Royal Australian Mint in Canberra, with a standard circulation mintage of several million coins. The exact figure is not extremely rare, but like all coins of its period, it holds value for collectors, especially those looking for well-preserved, uncirculated examples. Throughout the 1990s, the 10-cent coin continued to serve as one of the most commonly used denominations in daily transactions, representing a key element of Australia's monetary system. The design and metal composition remained unchanged through the decade, even as inflation gradually reduced its purchasing power. However, the coin's classic appearance and national symbolism kept it relevant and familiar to generations of Australians. In 1994, Australia's economy was in a phase of recovery and modernization following the economic challenges of the late 1980s and early 1990s. The stability of the nation's coinage, including the 10-cent piece, reflected the enduring nature of the Australian dollar system. The minting process at the Royal Australian Mint continued to focus on high-quality production and artistic design, ensuring that coins like the 10-cent maintained their aesthetic and functional standards. Collectors often examine 1994 10-cent coins for mint errors or proof set variations. Although the regular circulation coins are common, the proof issues minted for collector sets have a mirror finish and are more sought after by numismatists. These proof coins were specially struck using polished dies and planchets, resulting in a brilliant surface and sharp detail. Proof sets from 1994 are now collectible items representing Australian coinage history from the late 20th century. The 10-cent coin also carries cultural significance because of its iconic lyrebird design. The lyrebird is found primarily in the forests of southeastern Australia and has long been admired for its elaborate tail feathers and mimicry abilities. The bird's inclusion on the coin connects Australian money to the country's natural heritage and wildlife conservation identity. It remains one of the most recognizable coin designs in the world. From a historical perspective, the 1994 10-cent coin marks nearly 3 decades of continuous circulation since decimalization, and it shows the enduring design principles of Australian coinage, which balance tradition and practicality. The same coin still circulates today with little modification other than the portrait of the reigning monarch. Over time, it has become a small but important artifact of Australia's economic and cultural story. In summary, the 1994 Australian 10-cent coin stands as a piece of modern numismatic history, reflecting a stable national currency, artistic excellence, and the legacy of Queen Elizabeth II's reign. It captures the continuity of design from the 1966 introduction of decimal currency through the technological and cultural changes of the 1990s. Its lyrebird symbol celebrates the uniqueness of Australia's wildlife and remains a proud emblem of national identity seen daily in the hands of millions of Australians. The deeper history behind the 1994 Australian 10-cent coin connects to the broader story of Australia's move toward modern coinage systems and national identity. When Australia adopted decimal currency in 1966, the government aimed to modernize trade and simplify daily transactions which had been complicated under the British-style system of shillings and pence. The introduction of the dollar and cent system marked a major cultural and economic transition. The 10-cent coin specifically replaced the shilling, which had been a core part of Australian currency since colonial times. By keeping the coin roughly the same size and value as the shilling, Australians could adapt more easily to the new decimal structure. The 10-cent coin's reverse design, featuring the superb lyrebird, was chosen not only for its beauty, but also for its symbolic connection to Australia's natural environment. The lyrebird's ability to mimic natural and artificial sounds made it a metaphor for creativity and adaptability, qualities that resonated with a nation embracing modernization. The artist Stuart Devlin was known for infusing Australian coins with elements of the country's unique wildlife and landscapes, helping to distinguish Australian money from its British heritage. Devlin's designs gave coins a distinctly Australian identity, and the lyrebird became one of the most enduring symbols in circulation. The 1994 10-cent coin was struck during a period when the Royal Australian Mint in Canberra was focusing heavily on production consistency and technological precision. The Mint had by then gained an international reputation for quality craftsmanship. The 1990s were an era when coinage design around the world was becoming more advanced due to improved minting techniques and the use of computer-assisted engraving. These advancements allowed for sharper details in the lyrebird's tail feathers and the Queen's effigy on the obverse. During this time, Australia was also issuing special commemorative coins for events and anniversaries while maintaining its regular coinage series. The 1994 10-cent coin was not a commemorative piece, but it circulated alongside various special issues, such as the 1993 Land Care and 1995 United Nations commemorative coins. This was a period when public interest in numismatics, coin collecting, was growing rapidly in Australia. The release of annual proof and mint sets drew collectors both locally and internationally, leading to a broader appreciation of coins as historical and artistic items rather than mere currency. Economically, the 1990s were years of growth following recovery from the early decade recession. Inflation was relatively low, and the Australian dollar remained stable. This meant that the 10-cent coin retained a practical use in everyday transactions, It was used widely in vending machines, public telephones, and small retail purchases. Its continued use reflected the coin's durability and usefulness, even as other denominations like the 1 and 2 cent coins were withdrawn from circulation in 1992, just 2 years earlier. The removal of those lower denominations made the 10-cent coin the smallest active Australian coin by value, increasing its importance in the decimal system. In 1994, the Makhlouf portrait of Queen Elizabeth II remained the standard depiction of the monarch on all Australian coins. This effigy represented a more regal and formal image compared to the earlier portraits used during the 1960s and 1970s. The choice of portrait designs on coins is not arbitrary. They reflect each era's artistic interpretation of monarchy and continuity across the Commonwealth. For historians and collectors, the Makhlouf effigy helps date coins to a specific era of Australian history, characterized by modernization, global trade growth, and increasing national pride. The 10-cent coin also played a role in Australia's cultural landscape through its appearance in education and daily life. Many Australians of the 1990s learned basic arithmetic using coins like the 10-cent piece in school classrooms. It became part of children's first understanding of money,